What's up, peeps? I am back. I was gonna do the Generation Hope video, but I just wasn't in the mood. And to be honest, I'm gonna make those bi-weekly. So meaning if I did one last week, so I won't do the one this week. I'll do one next Tuesday. But I had to definitely get to this. Today we are reviewing the first John Wick, and this is pretty much my next franchise for the next 3 weeks. I'll be doing John Wick Chapter 1, which is what we're doing today, and the next week will be Chapter 2, and then so on. And tomorrow, I will be reviewing RoboCop 2, which I have not watched in a while, so I don't really have an opinion. I don't really remember it, to be honest, but that'll be tomorrow, though. Sorry about that. But anyway, John Wick 1. Like I said in my tweet, this is probably the best action movie we have gotten in the last 10 years. Because like I said yesterday, superhero movies kind of took that spot. I would say around, really, when the MCU, really, essentially. MCU, and then they started doing DC, started doing their own thing. It essentially came in and kind of took that action role spot, because we haven't really had a straight new action film franchise aside from Expendables. Yeah, not really. So this was the first one in a while, and this was Keanu's kind of revive, because he didn't around I think it was after he did a couple of movies after The Matrix, but then he kind of not necessarily disappeared. He just kind of did smaller roles. But he definitely made his comeback with this movie. He did a movie a year before that I mentioned called 47 Ronin, but this is the movie that really brought him back, and hell of a comeback it was, because not only did this revitalize his career, but he became a star. A lot of people's eyes, this is their favorite action movie. I don't fully agree. I think this is a great one, but it's not my favorite action movie ever. But definitely my favorite action movie in modern times. And it kicked off a franchise, a really good franchise that was consistent so far. We're getting a fourth one, which unfortunately is not till next year, but all these movies are great. And the stunts Keanu does for these movies, and the gun work he had to train. And I think that's why the action is so good, and why so many people love these movies. Not just because Keanu is just in general a great dude. It's that Keanu, put the work in, and that's why the gun work in this fucking movie is so fucking great, because it's he actually trained this shit, and it's not just and that's the other thing, it's not generic action either. They made it unique. The story itself fully isn't, but because it's ultimately your classic revenge story. John Wick, who's a retired assassin, which I like that in the beginning you don't know that. He just starts off as this normal guy. He's married to this woman named Helen, but unfortunately she died because of an illness, and she left him a dog. And he gets attached to the dog, and one day while he's out in his Ford Mustang, unfortunately runs into some gangsters who want to buy the car. He turns it down. But then, bam, they break in, steal his car, and unfortunately kill his dog. And that's what starts. And this is where we get the reveal. That scene, my favorite scene in the entire movie. Besides, that's not an action scene. But my God, that scene when Viggo is explaining to his son who John Wick is. It is so, it is that reveal, because he's oh, we stole from a fucking nobody, and then it's a fucking nobody named John Wick, and it's they really build him up as dude, this dude will fuck you up, and such a great movie. I mean, in the lore around, the Continental, just great cast, the action set pieces are great. And it's just a solid revenge story. I think that's all in. And even the moment when you think he gets Losev, who's the son who killed the dog, you think when he finally gets him, all the film's over. Nope. There's a little bit more. And, yeah. This definitely is one of easily the best action movie we've gotten in the last 10 years. And I was hoping after we did get some good ones like Nobody, which that'll be another one I will review somewhere down the line. And and we got like some good action films, but unfortunately, like I said, that superhero movie market kind of took that spot. But it was cool that we did get something like a franchise like this. So definitely happy that it's unfortunate though. I didn't watch it when it came out. I remember seeing the trailers and stuff. I don't know. It just something didn't compel me back in 2014 to not watch it. I fucking should have slapped myself because my God, when I finally watched it, it was right when John Wick 2 was about to come out. And I was like, all right, since we're going to be watching that, I got to watch the first one. And oh my God, man. I was like, bruh, this movie. So good. But anyway, like I mentioned, tomorrow we'll be doing RoboCop 2. But other than that, let's kick off this review. So the movie opens up. We're introduced to John. He's married, he's having like a normal life. He's married to this woman named Helen. And I like that they don't spend too long on his origin. You get a little bit of it. They don't spend like the first 30 minutes on that shit. So then, and then like I mentioned, they really build it up. They don't mention he's an assassin until a little bit later. So you get like in the beginning, he's just this seemingly normal family guy, and then unfortunately his wife died. And then one thing she left him is this dog. And he names it Daisy, and initially like kind of not being attached to it. It grows more attached to it. He takes it out in his Ford Mustang, goes to the gas station. This is where we see Losev's gang. He wants to buy the car, but John Wick, knowing Russian, turns it down. Has basically one last moment with his dog. And the other thing about this movie, the pacing, and that's the other thing about, I think a component, I and people a lot, what really makes a good movie is pacing. I think I'm fine with a slow burn if done right. But this movie gets going pretty quick. Like, we're already at this point in the movie, we should be about like 30, 40 minutes in. And we're already at the scene in the break-in. Like, it gets going quick, because they could have easily had spent like that first 20, 30 minutes on his marriage, and then they could have went that route, but no, they get going pretty fucking quick. So, Losev's gang break in, they unfortunately kill the dog, and it's like, the thing about this movie is just such a simple plot, at least the first one. While I love the sequels, I loved, if in terms of action, I would probably say 2 is my favorite, but I think this one is the best one in terms of story, just because of the simplicity of it. It triggers a reaction because he killed, he killed a dog, that he loved, but that dog is like the last thing basically of his normal life, basically his last thing of normalcy, which he will explain later when he gets captured. And almost like a last piece of his wife, so it's like all that. So it's like just a simple plot. So they kill his dog and steal the car. Losev tries to sell it to Aurelio, I think was the guy's name, which is played by fuck. I don't know why I forgot his name. He's in like a lot of movies. Anyway. It'll come to me. Fucking, he tries to sell the car, but knowing who the car is owned by, punches out Losev and basically tells him to get the fuck out. Then John comes by, and this is where he learns who stole his car. And now we're getting more of his story of who he is. Aurelio warns Vigo, who's Losev's father, basically when his son comes in, this is the scene I was talking about. that is really good. Where basically we get the whole background of John Wick, essentially, because he was a former assassin who was like basically the best of the best, and explained that he hadn't, because John Wick wanted to get out of the business, and he had one last task, was like a super impossible task, kill like a certain amount of people in like a certain amount of time, and John Wick succeeded, which helped to make his business possible. And dude, it's such a, because it's like, and you see while this is happening, John Wick getting his weapons out, he's like sledgehammering the ground because that's where he's hiding his weapons. It's like, bro, it's fucking gonna happen, man. Like, they really build it up slow perfectly, like how John Wick's gonna. And so after he explains that, he tries to reason with John. John straight up ignores him, and then he tries to have some of his best hitmen, break into his house. And man, that whole sequence might, in terms of action sequence, might be my favorite. Either that one or the club scene. Like, it's tied because it's so good. The smoothness of the gun training he really put into it. Like, the behind the scenes stuff for all the movies where you see him training the gunplay is fucking awesome. And it makes it that much more awesome in the fucking film. And that dedication Keanu really puts to it, man. So yeah, he takes out, Viggo's guys. I forgot the guy's name for a split second. Viggo's guys. Then Viggo puts a bounty on him and tries to hire his former Wick's former mentor, Marcus, played by Willem Dafoe, who's great in this. I remember watching this first time. Oh God, Willem Dafoe's in this. It's like, and Willem is great in this. He's not in the movie a lot. He's kind of basically essentially John's savior almost. Marcus takes the job, and then while this happens, Wick travels to the Continental, and this is where we get our first look at the Continental, which is this hotel for assassins. And basically the rule is you cannot kill on their premises and do assassinations on their premises. And this is where we meet Perkins, played by Adrienne Padalecki, who she was in those really bad not Bayformers. She was in those really bad G.I. Joe movies. But I think she was some of the better parts of those movies, and she plays a female assassin. And the thing is, she's actually pretty, like, one of the things is, I have no problem if you're gonna cast a female to be an assassin, but you gotta at least have some believability, and she does. Like, she's like super fit. Like, she actually, like, I'm like, okay. So he gets hired. That day he gets information that Losef's at the Red Circle. I think that's what the place is called. He goes there, and even like you have little bits of humor, like the scene where after he kills the guys at his house who try to break in his house, like a cop shows up, and like you have a little banter back and forth. And it's like, if you're gonna do humor like that, where it's quick, it doesn't like drag on. Or even in like this scene where before he breaks into the club, he meets like a guy who's like guarding it, and he's like, yo, he like has the gun on him, and it's like, just go home. Basically, you have the day off. It was funny. So he breaks in, starts killing people. Like the action sequences are so good. So he finds Losef, but he gets thwarted, and he chases Losef throughout the club. Viggo's main guard, I can't remember his name, but it starts with a K. Thwarts John and throws him down a thing, and John manages to escape and goes back to the Continental to treat his injuries. While there, Marcus is about to assassinate him, but notices that Perkins was sent there to kill him because he's willing. Vigo is willing to break the rule of no killing at the hotel to kill John. Because he made that show, he doesn't want his son to get killed. Like, and that's the thing. And he also knows John's capabilities, which is like such a just cool premise. And while in the club, I should have mentioned this. The music, I normally do not like dubstep or like that. You know, I like some techno, but like that super dubstep shit, I normally don't like. It fit the fucking action sequences. Like whenever he was shooting and breaking in, the music actually fit. And it's also there at a club, so it fits there perfectly too. But it was like the beat would go hard every time he was like shooting somebody or beating somebody up. And I'm like, okay, it actually fits here. So Perkins tries to Marcus shoots like the bed where Wick is at, basically to learn that someone's there. He has a quick fight with Perkins, manages to subdue her, and basically force her to tell her where Losef is, and he knocks her out and places her with the guy named Winston, like another assassin basically. But she gets out and kills him, and then John travels to Russia. And I think that's the other thing about these kind of movies, action movies in general, the exotic set pieces a lot of them go to. They're not just like, don't get me wrong, I love movies that are in America that keep it simple. Like, let's just do it here in this place. But it's always cool where you get the ones that they do travel. Like John Wick, they go from a couple places in this movie. So he travels to a church that's actually a front for Vigo's business. John travels there, forces the guy to open the vault, and he burns it down, burns like the money and stuff, attacks Vigo and his men, and nearly has him, but then gets subdued when the driver, the main guy, runs John Wick. John kind of runs him down, and they capture him. And, you kind of get your typical scene where the villain's, like, explaining, like, he's basically telling John, you can't deny who you are. But the acting from Keanu when he's talking about what that dog meant to him was fucking awesome. I've always said it. I think Keanu is a great actor. There are some wonky moments early in his career, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I think, like, especially by this point, dude, I believed it, man, when he was talking about, like, what that dog meant to him. And it basically was saying that was his last thing of normalcy left. And then he's like, yeah, I'm fucking back. And Marcus helps break him out, basically. Wick manages to kill Vigo's henchman before forcing Vigo to tell him the location of his son. And Vigo reveals that his son's in a safe house. And John Wick quickly disposes of his son and his people. And it's just so smooth how he did it, man. It's like he's just sniping them, take them all out, and stuff like that. And then he blows up their cars, kills the last guard, and then the son's like, it was just a fucking bam. Just gets cat. Oh, I should mention probably my favorite kill of the entire movie, where he straight up stabs a dude. I think it was at the club, where he stabs a dude right under the chin, and I was like, even rewatching, I know I'd already seen this movie several times, but still, it was like, holy shit. When he stabs a dude under his fucking chin, I was like, bruh. I love it. Like, man, I don't know. I'm a gore guy, so shit like that always is fucking cool. But, so he kills his son. This is where Perkins learns that Marcus was basically helping John and Vigo and his men torture Marcus until they kill him, basically because they're mad at him about basically killing his son, and kills him. I would say Adrian. Perkins kills him. Winston has um, Perkins killed, which was just like gangsta how he did it. He's like, your fucking membership is revoked, and like all these dudes show up and they just all just fucking cap her. And he tells John where Vigo is basically heading, and he kills the rest of Vigo's men, and him and Vigo have a fist fight. He lets Vigo get a stab on him, but then he stabs Vigo to death, lets him bleed out. He then goes to the clinic, I think where his wife worked, to kind of like heal himself up, but then he frees a dog. And then he walks where the spot where he and his wife met, and into the sunset. Awesome fucking movie. This is probably easily like the first action movie in years that I was like, wow, we needed something like this, and it came, and it obviously it started a franchise, and one of the few franchises that, at least in modern times, that are like all consistent. I like all the movies. You know, I think this one has the best story. I just think the simplicity of it. Keanu's acting, I think he acts great in all of them, but that scene specifically where he's talking to Vigo about what that dog meant to him, it was just like, man. But it's just like the simplicity of it. Yeah, like it was a simple revenge story that it gets you viscerally, and he's like, "Yeah, get him, John." When they kill the dog, you know. But the thing is, it would have that could have easily has worked if it had been like his son, his daughter, his wife. If they had done, if it was his wife in it, or wife and kids, you know, they could have. It would have just worked. And that is one reason I'm a big fan of revenge stories. Revenge stories are kind of fucked, especially at least the really good ones anyway, can be really fucked up. Because you gotta, like, there has to be a reason for the revenge. So you're gonna get, like, a pretty dark, like, thing, like The Crow, Punisher, stuff like that. But then it's always fucking worth it, though, when he finally gets it. When John finally gets Los in the end, man. And it was like, in Los, it was just a fucking bam, just caps him. Just like not even let him finish the sentence. It was so fucking good. I fucking love this movie. And the fact that it stays consistent. John Wick Chapter 2, action-wise, is my favorite. John Wick Chapter 2, I will put, if I ever did like a list of great sequels, which I think I will at some point, it would definitely be up there, because ultimately what makes a great sequel is you gotta step it up, and I think they really do that with John Wick Chapter 2, but that'll be next week. But tomorrow, I will be doing, but before I get to that, if out of 10, I gotta give this movie, in terms of a modern movie, a 10. I rarely, like, especially modern movies, you know, I can name a bunch of old movies that I would give a 10, but like in recent times, very rarely. But yeah, this is a 10. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect action. The story's great. The music's good. Even the dubstep, that scene in the club where he's killing people and the music's getting loud. I'm like, okay, that actually works. You know, I normally don't fuck with dubstep music, but I'm like, yeah, it actually fits here. So, all around, just great movie. So, if you have not seen it, heavily recommend it. It's just a fun action flick. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes. It gets going pretty quick. You'll love it, man. Keanu's great in it. If you love Willem Dafoe, he's awesome in it, even though he's not in it like a lot, like you would think. But yeah, great movie. But like I was mentioning, Rambo, I'll be doing RoboCop 2 tomorrow. It has been a while since I really do not remember RoboCop 2, besides like he fought like a big giant robot. That's like the only thing. I'll admit, RoboCop sequels I kind of blanked out on, because I only really remember I only really loved the first one. And RoboCop wasn't my franchise like that. You know, I liked the first one, and I had seen 2 and 3, but it's just, they kind of blended. But it's been a while. I think I'll enjoy it. It'll be a fun little movie. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow. But aside from that, I'm gonna cheers one more time and talk to y'all tomorrow. But as usual. But as usual. Fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck Disney. And you know what? Side little thing, really quick. I'm happy Warner Brothers has to deal with the headache of Ezra Miller. Fuck them. But yeah, fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck Disney. Fuck LeBron. Fuck Colin Kaepernick. Fuck Seth Rogen. Fuck Kevin Smith. And fuck the Biden administration. Definitely fuck the Biden administration. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.